Okay, I think I'm live. Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Juana Rivera, and I am a student um, from Grand Canyon University in the master's program of special education. I am here to explain 3 points. I will explain the components or the parts of a transition plan. I will identify 2 to 3 strategies that will be employed to promote successful transition for the case study that we have been reading, the case study of Alex. And I will describe 2 to 3 collaboration strategies that I can use um, when working with Alex and his parents as he to help him transition successfully, um, and the progress that we take towards monitoring his goals. Okay, let's see, just a little brief history. Alex is a 17-year-old student, high school student, diagnosed with autism. He's on the spectrum, and he works part-time at a office store where he does data entry. He very much likes to work and enjoys getting paid, earning his money, as well as spending it. And let's see, Alex's current stage of educational achievement and functional preference. Alex is reliable and meticulous in completing the very tasks assigned to him. Alex reads at grade level independently. He received 2 years of math in high school. He's punctual to work. He's detail oriented and reviews his work systematically. Um, he enjoys his job and his has no abrupt behaviors at work. So just to go back and talk briefly on those components of transition. So, what is a transition plan? So, a transition plan, according to the Individuals with Disability Education Act, or IDA, for all students who have an IEP um, or an individualized educational plan, the purpose is to facilitate the students transitioning, moving from school to a post school activity. And that can look very different for many students. So, for some, we'll go to preparation for college or technical school, and others will be going straight into the work environment. The transition plan must start before the student turns 16. It must be individualized, so it has to be tailored to the student's needs and supports. Um, must be based on the student's strength, preference, and interest, and it must include opportunities to develop functional skills for work and community life. Who develops the transition plan? That is the IEP team, the student, the parents, employers, college representatives, student advocates, etc. So, um, okay. And I'm just gonna go to my notes and let's see. So it is important for student involvement, active participation of the student, as well as the support from others involved within the team, is important for decision making and transition planning for the student. The rationale for the student involvement is that it allows for the students to actively participate in identifying their interests and preferences. It is also important for parent and family, as well as community involvement, participate in their transition planning. Uh, the responsibility of the parent and family members and/or family members during this transition process is to encourage their child in supporting them in planning and achieving and setting those educational goals with them. It is also their role to encourage their child, the student, in developing the self advocacy and independent decision making that eventually is going to lead into that they're going to eventually continue to do it as in adult life, in adulthood. So the involvement of parent motivates and guides the students in making realistic goals. Building a strong relationship among parents, students, and the school is essential as it helps to ensure the promotion in cultural and linguistic diversity among students. Um, Student oriented and outcome based goals is important for proper training that the students should receive in order for them to develop. I'm sorry, proper training enables students to develop measurable goals. So let's see. So just to kind of reiterate a little bit on Alex, Alex is a part-time worker at a local supply office store. Alex undertakes numerical data entry. He tracks stock and services that are rendered at the store. Alex has proven his competency in his work, and his boss considers employing him after graduation. Um, he has an extraordinary character of being punctual and is always willing to take on extra hours after work. So he tends to work late if he's asked to do so, and he does willingly. The challenge that Alex has pertaining to his work is that he is detail oriented, uh, leading to reduced production um, at work. Another issue that was mentioned in the case study is that Alex has his social skills. He lacks in social skills where he's intimidated by his employer, um, and to the point that he feels that his employer might fire him. So he avoids talking to his employer um, and just avoids him completely. Um, so he does not communicate the challenges that he may be facing at work, except that he does convey this information to his coach um, and not to his boss. And therefore, as a result, there is a need for vocational rehabilitation to help Alex counter these challenges. So the following transition goals will focus on what Alex will do prior and after high school. It is significant. It is very important for him for this transition plan and his goals that should be in sync with his IUP goals. So, for his transition service plan, educational and vocational training, an example would be his academics or job training. So, Alex will learn to budget. One of the things that was mentioned in his case study was that although Alex enjoys working, he also has a tendency to um, spend, splurge um, his money. So therefore, having him to learn to budget in order for him to make better choices and decision making, and learning to purchase and prioritize items. Especially he enjoys eating fast food, so helping him see where his income is going, where he's spending his money, and I think having a visual will help him to kind of understand um, what's coming in and how much is coming going out of his budget. Allow for him to reflect and to write or verbally state um, how he's how he's spending his money and the choices that he's making in certain situations. Um, it'll be it'll be a good idea to also discuss the differences between allowances and income. So knowing these vocabulary words, it's something that he not only will benefit now as a high school student, but also when he is ready to transition into the real world. It is also important to allow for Alex to discuss and engage while he's in school um, in small group settings. The pros and the cons of these choices when it comes to not budgeting, whether he gets allowance or whether it's income. Another educational and vocational training that would be good for him after graduation will be finding a vocation rehabilitation to help him learn how to relate and work in a team. So not only we will be providing the the peer relationships, and building those skills, um, communication skills with his peers at school, but he will also take that and transition over in across all settings when he transitions from school to the workforce. Okay. Um, I also stated that after graduation, I think it's also important for Alex. I'm sorry, that's that wasn't it. It has so many. Let's see. Okay, community participation, which knowledge, um, and demonstrate skill needed to participate in the community. For example, filling out tax forms, voters registration, social interactions, etc. So Alex will participate in at least 3 activities per month with a peer, with a peer group, such as events that are happening in town or dances, sporting. I think it'll be a good idea for Alex to really stay engaged with peer students that are his age. In this way, it helps to develop those skills even further, those social skills even further, and also to build his communication skills across all settings, which will help also build those skills, and that would transition over to the workforce and be able to perhaps communicate better with his um, employer. Adult living skills. Um, One of the a big example would be maintaining a budget. So Alex will increase his understanding of the importance of setting up and maintaining a budget. Um, he will identify and investigate his expenses, such as categories and spending choices. He will develop a financial record by creating a spreadsheet. He's currently learning how to do data entry and spreadsheet, and I think this will be a great idea to incorporate his knowledge, his training in data entry and spreadsheet, so he can visualize his budget um, in a spreadsheet. So, and it'll give him detailed expenses of what his expenses are. He will learn to balance and keeping a monthly budget. He will understand the cost and responsibilities of living independently by learning how to estimate expenses that is associated with moving and budgeting for rent, utilities, and living expenses that all adults have to do. Um, let's see, and related services. These are counseling and vocational training. Alex will meet the vocational representative or counselor at least 3 times in order to prepare for the full transition into full time employment and to create a work plan and budget that will lead to independence in the future. Um, I believe it's important for him to continue and having that support well after school, well after he's transitioned from school into the workforce. Um, and it was expressed that his employer is willing to hire him full time once he's graduated from high school. So that's a good goal for him, and because he enjoys working, that's a great reinforcement to kind of let him know that, hey, if you if you learn to budget and learn all these communicational skills, it will make you a better I'm sorry, employee, and better and a and better I'm sorry, and best um, to communicate and use those social skills, um, uh, not only in the workforce but also among social interactions that he may have encounter in life. And think, I think I went over. So that is my brief discussion. And I'm sorry, I also wanted to mention that it is important. One of the points. So collaboration strategies that can be used to work with Alex and his parents is if we are working with him in learning how to budget. um, I think that also incorporating the parents and letting them know what we're doing, keeping them up to date is important. So this way they can then not only not only is he getting the learning where he's with us at the school or with his coach, but he's also getting it and reinforced that information at home with his parents, especially with the budgeting because he tends to spend as soon as he gets his check, where he likes to eat out often, and he mismanages his money and his finances. So I think that's really one of the biggest things as an adult going into adulthood, or young adults going into adulthood is important is to understand the finances and how to be frugal. Um, at the same time, I think he will also benefit from being having that community exposure, whether it's uh, volunteering at church, his local church, or volunteering at the soup kitchen. So I think having him both on our end and the parents to help and guide Alex will be beneficial in having his goal and his transitions goals met, and he can be successful. Um, let's see, and yeah, so I hope I covered everything. If not, I apologize, Dr. Pantry. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all that you do. And I will see you soon. Thank you.